Who are you? She sounds like her smile, twinkling with curiosity, teasing just enough. Her eyes narrow with mischief as she sips from her drink. Ice latte, even though we are in winter. Then again, the coffee shop is warm enough for it. I don't answer her immediately, just laugh. The kind of laughter that is equally teasing, equally roguish. It lingers like a smile in my face, moving away from the intrigue of a mystery to the fondness of the truth. All while I toy with my drink, the spoon sloshing the reddish cold tea. It matches my nail polish in such an odd manner. Come on, tell me. She leans forth as her eyes narrow again. They are warm, so warm and brown. Who are you? I shake my head and fall back into my chair. What can I say? It is not an easy question to answer. I have been too many things. Until 2 weeks ago, I was a radio astronomer working on the largest array built in Australia, hurrying to decipher an odd transmission. Everything after it was a haze, filled with adrenaline and the need to reach a conclusion. For me, for the others, for those awaiting the answer. I worked on it non-stop, yet it carried on day after day after day until I wrapped my mind around it and solved the enigma. There was a reason for that signal, a cipher of a cipher, a history to recover, another to redo, a truth from out of this world. It is always that, to be honest, almost as if my mind couldn't think of anything else. Yet that affair ended all too swiftly, so much that it lingered on me like an impression I couldn't quite remove. It left too many unresolved thoughts, each dreamed with a myriad of questions, and I could solve none, just keep swirling around them. What if I had done this instead of that? What if the truth actually lay elsewhere? And worse, what happens now that I'm not there? How does it continue? Is that the end? But I cannot answer those questions. Not now, at least, because I no longer am a radio astronomer. Right now, I'm in the impasse between identities, lost in a sea of musings, each second spent there threatening to drown me, tickling with the need to find something more, something new, or something that was but has not been fully closed. It keeps bringing me back to everything I've been. After all, I have had quite an eclectic path, one almost impossible to explain or summarize without missing key moments, key elements. Before being a radio astronomer, I was a journalist and so journeyed to the farthest space station in the galaxy to interview people, or more accurately, beings. Non humans, everyone I could think of. It was an experiment, one that has been consuming my mind until then, and so I carried on with it, roaming, talking, listening, writing. I talked with so many and learned so much more about them, about their cultures, about the worlds they come from and the history that preceded them. So dissimilar to ours, so incredibly non human, so beyond anything I've seen before. What they shared began, almost always, as a vague concept, difficult to imagine, yet clearer and clearer as I put it into words. Collating those stories was no less than the challenge of solving the riddle while working as a radio astronomer. And how I came to be both was precisely the same reason, my never ending curiosity, my insatiable need to speculate. Neither lasted as much as I wanted or hoped, and although I wanted to return there, to that space station and those who live there, it is not possible now. Perhaps I'm not in the right mood to go back to the stars. Turns out I have a tendency to hop around from one world to another and another, from one role to another and another, all because intrigue guides me and somehow I cannot say no to a good, promising idea. That is why, before being a radio astronomer and long before my journey through that space station, I was a wanderer crawling through in a dungeon, a twisted, never ending sequence of rooms that looped on itself by the will of a lord who refused to allow me to narrate my own story. The Lord was a pest, yet meeting it was in equal parts infuriating and amusing. One moment I'd be laughing at whatever nonsense it spewed, and another I'd be furious. But I was not the Lord, also that's not entirely true. I was the Lord of the Lord, or better said, not only the Lord, but also the wandered trapped in that dungeon. The one searching for her purposes, and instead of pondering it like a normal person, ended up crafting this labyrinth simply because it was, perchance, a less direct, more timeless approach. It was maddening, truth be told, to think of all the combinations within that claustrophobic place, to pass through the fourth wall, separating it from here and back again, only to prune pathways and add new ones, reviewing, replaying, considering every unlinked point that I may have left. It was a learning experience, that I can tell, and it taught me much. Enough to have me ponder again, forget the conversation, and slosh the tea. I stretch my smile with another tease, letting the moment stretch because, to me, this is the most precious part of me. The answer I know and cannot confess that easily. I have been so much more. A winged being who crafted a reflection so vivid they blended and merged. A ceramic doll first and then a wooden one. A robot in a land far away that perhaps is only far away in time. Tasked with a quest with too many possible outcomes. A cohort of nobles in a decadent setting that later became so much more. A bartender in a floating bar, a potions maker centuries old, a fae, an alien AI construct. My favorite, though, remains the time in which I was a cat, or the semblance of one, inspired by the real deal and mimicked to the best of my abilities. It was not just a cat, but an elite spy tasked with stopping the undead's forces from taking over the oldest city in that world. These were not the typical undead, but researchers avid for knowledge because what else can you do with an eternity of unlife than learn? At least that is how I think of it and how it will be across the many worlds and legends I visit. Oh, come on, tell me. She pouts at me, frustration scrunching up her nose. I look down to my tea and the stories locked within it. Those I could tell based on how that red gold hue spirals into stillness. When I speak, there is shyness on my voice, laced with a truth, the one I share. I'm a writer,